All right, good afternoon, guys. These are the notes for 7.3, linear inequalities in two variables. So we're going to learn how to graph these today. Step number one is to solve the inequality for y. Okay, you're going to graph a boundary line. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, the boundary line is solid. And if it's less than or greater than, we use a dashed line. It's kind of like when we're graphing in one variable and we use the open dot and the closed dot, if that helps you to remember. And then the last thing you have to do is determine which side to shade. Okay, there's a quick summary right here at the very bottom. It reminds you of your boundary lines. And it tells you when the inequality is written with y alone on the left-hand side, you shade below and to the left for less than and less than or equal to, and you shade above and to the right for greater than or equal to. Okay, so it says graph the solutions of each linear inequality. In the first one, the boundary line is already drawn. Okay, so they solve for y, and they drew the boundary line, and it's dashed because it's less than. Now, because it's less than, we shade to the left, so we would shade in this area to the left. You can also look at y is less than -9 and go to the spot on the y-axis where the intercept is and think to yourself, well, where would the values of y be less than 9? And it's below, so it's to the left. You'll be able to see it a little better on the next example. On number 2, y is not solved for. So we need to add x to both sides. And this becomes y is less than x plus 3. So we're going to use a dashed line again. The y-intercept is 3, which is here. Our slope is 1, so I'll make a couple small dots. It's a little hard to see. Okay, and then we're going to make a dashed line along the boundary. Okay, and then because it's less than, you should know we have to shade to the left. But if you want to look at y is less than +3. So here's our +3, and the values below it are less than 3. So we're going to shade below the line. Okay, on number 3, we need to subtract x and 2. So y is greater than or equal to -x plus 2. So this will be a solid line. It's 2. Excuse me. And the slope is 1. It's -1, excuse me. So we'll make a solid line here this time. And where y is greater than or equal to 2 is above. These values are greater than 2. So we're shading above the line this time. One thing that I want to mention and maybe add to the notes real quick is that don't forget when you multiply or divide by a negative number, it reverses the inequality symbol. Okay. All right. So a couple more examples of graphing by hand. And my first one here is negative 14 plus 2y is less than negative x. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 14 to both sides. So I have 2y is less than negative x plus 14. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. So y is less than negative 1/2 x plus 7. So my y-intercept is positive 7. So I'll start there. It's going to be a dashed line because it's less than. My slope is negative 1/2. So I go down 1, right 2. Okay. Draw a dash line. Y is less than 7, so I need to shade below my line, where the values of y are less than 7. On number 2, first thing I have to do is subtract 10x. So I have negative 6y is greater than negative 10x plus 36. I'm going to divide by negative 6. So y is less than, remember the sign had to reverse because I divided by a negative, 5/3 x minus 6. Oh, sorry, plus 6. This was subtract 36, not plus. Sorry, so I had two negatives that make a positive. So start at positive 6. It's going to be a dashed line. My slope is 5/3. So I go up 5, right 3, down 5, left 3. Make the dashed line. I want the values where y is less than 6. So that's underneath. Something else that I pointed out, if you're not sure and this isn't, looking at the y-intercept isn't making any sense, you can pick a spot on the graph before you do your shading. Let's say I hadn't shaded and I pick 0, 0. Okay, I'm going to substitute those coordinates, into my equation. If I get a true answer, that's where you shade. If you get a false answer, you know you shouldn't shade there. So let's try. We're going to try 2 points. We're going to try 0, 0, and then we'll try 1, 9. Okay, so if I try 0, 0, substitute that in there, I get 0 is less than 5/3 times 0 plus 6. So 0 is less than 6. This is true. So you would shade that area. So I would shade the area where the dot is. Let's try 9 or 1, 9. So I would have 9 is less than 5/3 times 1 plus 6. So this becomes 9 is less than 5/3 plus 18/3. So 9 is less than 23/3. And 23/3 is, so we can use it easier, 7 2/3. So 9 is less than 7 2/3. That is not true. So there would be no shading. Okay. The last thing I have for you are some calculator instructions. You might want to go ahead and pause it. I'm going to give it a pause for just a second and let you copy those down. Alright, so once you have the directions written down, we'll go through these real quick. The first thing you have to do is solve for y. I have this problem. 21 minus 3y is less than 9x. So we're going to solve for y. We're going to subtract 21 from both sides. So I have negative 3y is less than 9x minus 21. Then I'm going to divide by negative 3. Okay, so that's going to, again, reverse my inequality. So I have y is greater than negative 3x plus 7. Okay, so now that we have our equation solved, we're going to go ahead and follow the directions that I gave you before. And we're going to show you how to graph this on a calculator. So the first thing it says is solve for y. So obviously we did that, sorry. Enter the equation in y equals. Okay, y equals is the button on the left directly under the screen. So you're going to, it was already in there, sorry. If there's something, clear it out. If not, you're going to hit the negative. Make sure that you use the negative that is underneath the 3. So negative 3x. And the x button is the one that's right beside the alpha button, in case you forgot. And then plus 7. The next instruction is to cursor over to the left and then hit enter until you see it shaded on the correct side. So I cursored over to the left and now I have the blinking line, if you will. And we want our shading, because it says y is greater than 7, we want our shading to be on top. So I'm going to hit enter and enter one more time, and now it's shading on top. And then you can hit zoom, which is the middle button, and we're going to choose option 0, and it graphs a shaded graph for you. Okay, that's it. Your homework for this lesson is 7.3. It's on page 263. It's numbers 2 through 20 even. Thanks for watching.